Some groups have a sound that turns a room around in 2 seconds. But almost nobody can do it for 20 years.
여러분들께 저희가 있습니다. BIG!
In April, a crowd in the California desert waited late into the night for a group that had not toured in 9 years.
Coachella? It's a Coachella, baby. Y'all ready?
Then the first few seconds of one song played,
Let's get 'em.
and the desert exploded. The song was Bang Bang Bang. Big Bang went on at 10:30 on Sunday, the 12th of April 2026, the last set of the night. Gdragon, Taeyang and Daesung. The set moved fast after that, through Fantastic Baby and Sober and into Loser. Then, near the end of the set, they played A Fool of Tears, a song from their first year that predates almost everything the crowd knew them for. It still worked. Somewhere in the middle of the set, Gdragon looked out at the audience and said, B to the I to the G to the bang is back. This was their first full group performance since the Last Dance tour in 2017. 9 years with no album behind it and no promotional run leading up to it. They had been booked for Coachella once before, in 2020, and that year never happened. So they walked onto a stage in the middle of a desert festival built for a completely different audience 6 years later than planned, and the crowd answered like the songs had come out last month. When they returned for the second weekend, they added BiiiG and announced a world tour from the stage. Daesung called the whole thing a reset. To understand why a festival crowd reacted that way, it helps to look at what happened 2 years earlier. The 23rd of November 2024. Kyocera Dome in Osaka, the final night of the Mama Awards. Gdragon walked out alone and performed Untitled 2014, then Power. Then he started Home Sweet Home, and partway through the song, Taeyang and Daesung walked out to join him. It was the first time the three of them had stood on a stage together in 9 years. What followed was Bang 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 into Fantastic Baby. Cameras cut to the crowd and caught idols half a generation younger on their feet. Actors were standing. The room had stopped behaving like an awards show and turned into something closer to a concert nobody had bought tickets for. 2 appearances, 2 years apart, no new music behind either of them. 'Cause neither one needed any. So the question sits there. How does a group hold a room like that after being away that long? Start with the songs, because every track in that Coachella set came from inside the group. Lies arrived in August 2007 on the mini album Always. Gdragon wrote it and composed it. It went to number 1 and sat at the top of Melon for 6 weeks.
2007 Mnet KM
뮤직 페스티벌 올해의 노래상 빅뱅.
That year, it won Song of the Year at what is now the Mama Awards, and the following January, it took the grand prize at the 17th Seoul Music Awards. That was 1 year into their career. It was also the moment the group stopped being an experiment. Because the first year had gone quietly. Big Bang debuted on the 19th of August 2006 at the YG Family 10th Year Concert at the Olympic Gymnastics Arena in Seoul. They had been assembled through a documentary series that aired across July and August that year on GOM TV and MTV Korea, with cameras following trainees who did not yet know who would make the final lineup. Their first album sold around 48,000 copies in its first months. Reception was mixed. The hip-hop direction and the styling sat outside what Korean audiences expected from an idol group at the time. Lies changed the terms. After that, the hits stacked. Haru Haru in 2008 became one of the best-selling digital singles in the country. Later that year, they released Sunset Glow, a remake of a Lee Moon-se song from the 80s, which pulled in listeners old enough to remember the original. Then Jump Forward. Fantastic Baby came out in 2012 on the mini-album Alive. Its music video went on to become the first by a K-pop group to pass 200 million views on YouTube, and later, the first to pass 300 million. Bang 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 and Loser came out in 2015 as part of the Made project, where a new single dropped every month across the summer. That year, Big Bang became the first act to hold 3 songs inside the top 5 of Korea's year-end digital chart, and the first to sit at number 1 on the national chart 4 months in a row. 8 years separate lies from Bang Bang Bang. The 2 songs sound almost nothing alike. What they share is where they came from. Gdragon had a hand in the writing across all of it, with the other members working alongside him, and the group kept its direction in its own hands as the sound moved. That is the part that matters here. Any company can hand a group a good song. Holding one identity steady for 20 years while everything around it changes is a different thing entirely. The proof showed up in the download numbers years later. When Korea counted its most downloaded songs since 2006, back in 2016, Lies landed at number 2 and Haru Haru at number 5. Songs from 2007 and 2008 were still being bought by people who were toddlers when they came out. And the songs did not stay inside Korea. Alive entered the Billboard 200 in 2012, the first Korean-language album ever to reach that chart. The tour that came out of the Made era ran 66 shows and pulled around 1.5 million people, the largest run any Korean act had attempted at that point. In Japan, they became the first foreign act to hold a dome tour 3 years running, then broke their own record the year after. And in August 2016, they played Seoul World Cup Stadium to 65,000 people, the biggest crowd a single headliner had ever drawn in the country. Which is why a crowd in 2026 recognizes a song from 2012 inside 2 seconds. The catalog stayed in circulation the whole time, in clubs, in playlists, in the sets of every DJ who has ever needed a guaranteed reaction from a room. Big Bang built songs that outlived the era that made them. And that gets you halfway to the answer. The other half showed up when they disappeared. The 13th of March 2018, Daesung reported for military service. On the same day, YG released a song called Flower Road. There was nothing behind it. No music show stages, no interviews, no members available to promote anything. t.o.p had enlisted in February 2017. gdragon went in February 2018. Taeyang in March. By the time Flower Road landed, there was no version of Big Bang left that could actually stand on a stage. But it took a perfect all-kill anyway, #1 at the same time on the real-time, daily and weekly charts of every major platform in the country. Then came the silence. 4 years of it. No releases, no group appearances, nothing on any schedule. In an industry where a 6-month gap makes people ask if a group is finished, Big Bang went dark for 4 years while the entire 4th generation debuted, grew, and started filling stadiums without them. And then, the 5th of April 2022, Still Life. The song was written and composed with gdragon and t.o.p credited. And within hours, it was #1 on the worldwide iTunes song chart and sitting at the top in 33 separate regions. It went to #1 on Melon in Korea, QQ Music in China, and Line Music in Japan. It became the fastest song by a K-pop artist that year to reach #1 on the Melon Top 100. There were no broadcast promotions. The group never performed it on a music show. And the part that says the most is what happened around it. Flower Road re-entered the Melon Top 100 for the first time since 2018. Songs from across their entire career climbed back onto the Korean charts the same day. 4 years of missing them showed up on the charts in a single night. Later that year, Still Life took the Digital Music Award at the 37th Golden Disc Awards. Put that next to the rest of their catalog and something rarer shows up. Big Bang is the only act in Korean music to place songs in Melon's year-end top 10 in 3 separate decades. Lies and Haru Haru in the 2000s, Fantastic Baby and Bang 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 in the 2010s, and Still Life in the 2020s. So the pattern was already there before Coachella. Put out one song with no promotion behind it, and the country stops and listens. Say nothing for 4 years, and the audience stays exactly where you left it. Here is what makes 2026 strange. Nothing formal holds Big Bang together anymore. gdragon left YG at the end of 2023 and signed with Galaxy Corporation, releasing his album Ubermensch in early 2025 and touring it worldwide. Taeyang works under the Black label and put out his 4th solo album, Quintessence, in May 2026. Daesung runs his own label, released D's Wave in 2025, and toured Asia off the back of it. t.o.p announced his departure from the group in May 2023, then put out his first full-length solo album in April 2026 on a label he built himself, 13 years after his last solo release. Different companies, no shared contract. No structure requiring any of them to be in a room together ever again. All of them had solo careers running perfectly well on their own. But they came back anyway. gdragon had said it out loud months before it was official. At the 2025 MAMA Awards in Hong Kong, taking Artist of the Year, he told the crowd that the 20th anniversary was coming and that he would be back with his friends instead of standing there alone.
네, 내년에는 외롭지 않게 친구들이랑 또 파티하러 놀러 오겠습니다. 네, 내년에 봬요. 감사합니다.
Then April and the Desert. On August 10, the title came out, Big. YG said it was the song that showed most clearly where Big Bang stands right now. And then it arrived on the 19th of August 2026 at 6 in the evening. Exactly 20 years to the day since a group of trainees walked onto a stage at the Olympic Gymnastics Arena. Their first release in 4 years and 4 months, their first ever as a trio. It was number 1 on the Melon Top 100 within the hour, with the highest first-hour listener count of any song released in Korea that year. Genie, Bugs, and Vibe followed. iTunes put it at number 1 across 24 regions, and the video went to the top of YouTube's worldwide trending. 2 days after the song, the tour started. XX Cosmos opens at Goyang Stadium on August 21, 22, and 23, then runs through 33 shows across 19 cities in North America, Europe, Oceania, and Asia. Their first world tour in roughly 9 years. 20 years after a documentary series put them together, 3 men from different companies are about to spend a year in stadiums under the name BIGBANG. The question was why the world stops every time Big Bang shows up. The answer is that they never handed the room back. The song stayed in rotation long after the eras that made them ended. The audience held its size through enlistments, through lineup changes, through 4 years of nothing at all. And every time they went quiet, the charts kept moving for them while they were nowhere near a camera. Most groups have to earn the attention again after time away. Big Bang walks out, and it is already there, waiting, the same way it was in 2016. 20 years in, that is the rarest thing they own. The tours end, and the records get broken eventually. But say the name Big Bang, and the world still stops.